Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about fiddle leaf figs, or the Ficus lyrata, and how to care for them. Now, these big boys are not nearly as finicky as most people think. They're just creatures of habit that don't like change. So if your fiddle has ever started to look like this, don't worry, we're going to talk about how to get it back to looking like this. So when you first get it back home, just try not to mess with it too much. They're total creatures of habit, and they're likely going to be a little bit shaken up from the rehoming process. That's just how fiddles are, so when you lose a few leaves, don't freak out. Your fiddle is just adjusting and will live to see yet another day. So a big tip to keep your Ficus lyrata happy is to wipe off its leaves regularly. When dust is building up on that foliage, it reduces the ability for the plant to photosynthesize, and photosynthesis is literally how the plants feed themselves through the photon of energy emitted when chloroplasts absorb light energy. So what I do is I just spray the leaves down with water, and then I wipe them down with a damp paper towel. So you get your fiddle leaf fig home and you're trying to place it. You want to make sure that it's not too close to a vent because they don't like to be near heat blasts or air conditioning blasts, especially in the winter when we've got the heat cranked up, which literally dehydrates all the little guard cells on the plant foliage in your house. So the most important part about positioning your fiddle is just ensuring it has access to indirect, bright sunlight. If the light you give is too direct, the leaves are susceptible to getting scorched. So if you notice your leaves are starting to look a little burnt and yellow, you might just need to back it up a little bit further from the window to decrease its light intake. Consider that when they're grown commercially, fiddle leaf figs are often grown under a shade tent with 70% shade. That being said, they do thrive with indirect sunlight. We keep ours right by a big open window, but other ideal locations might be a covered canopy if it's outside, or by a large south or north-facing window. Just avoid direct sunlight if you can. Okay, now on to watering. This is probably the most critical piece of advice I could give you about fiddle leaf figs, and truly with a lot of plants it's the same way. So fiddles are very susceptible to root rot, meaning they don't like for their roots to sit in water for extended periods of time. But that doesn't mean they don't like a thorough drenching when they are watered. The key is infrequent but thorough watering. Root rot happens when the roots are sitting in water for too long, so you might see your plant drooping like you see in this clip here, and have this knee-jerk desire to freak out and start watering it every day without letting it dry in between. This is actually kind of the worst thing you can do to your plant, watering it around the roots constantly with no drying interim. Instead, I would totally recommend that you take your big plant boys into the shower. You can put a time on it, like every couple weeks, but really I just go off of the look of the plant, especially because there's going to be different environmental factors like sunlight, humidity, time of year, growing cycle, stage of the plant. When I notice that my fiddle's just drooping, I take it in for a shower, and you will be so surprised by how much it perks up. So I keep my fiddle in a large 10-inch planter pot that's nestled inside of a decorative basket, and when I see the leaves drooping, I just take it into the shower and I put the water on a medium to low pressure, and I use the detachable head to water it around the roots. Then I work my way up to the top, watering the foliage as I go. Their shape naturally funnels the water downward into the trunk and the roots, and plants really enjoy when we mimic this concept of nature, so the shower method mimics the large surface area but small contact points of rain, so it's going to give it a really thorough watering, and your fiddle is going to perk up and be so happy. Okay, so after I thoroughly shower my fig, I actually let it stay in the shower, even overnight sometimes. It's just going to continue absorbing that humidity, and then the next morning you'll find it standing tall and happy after a proper drink of water. And this also helps wash the salts and minerals that are clogging the roots and keeping them from absorbing nutrients down. Then I just kind of put it back in its decorative pot the next morning, and voila, it's beautiful. I also recommend that you give the trunk of the fig a good shake after watering it in the shower, and I do this because in nature, plants get exposed to the elements like wind and rain and storms, etc. They don't just sit idle with this low airflow like they get inside of our houses, so giving it a good shake every now and then really helps to reinforce the sturdiness and the structure. When I put my fiddle back into its decorative pot, I rotate it about 180 degrees from where it was before so that it has access to sunlight and growth all around the circumference of the plant. Also, make sure to let your fig dry out before waterings to prevent root rot and to also diminish the soil compaction. Also, keep in mind that in the winter or non-growing seasons, you're watering a lot less because there's just a lot less sunlight and less photosynthesis and growth going on within the plant. Also, I want you to keep in mind that lower light will cause the lower leaves that are getting less exposure to get kind of yellow and brown and weak, and you can either increase the light or just pull off those big leaves. Losing leaves is totally fine. There's a handful of reasons that your leaves could be turning brown, but most of them are definitely benign. Yellow or dead leaves at the bottom are really just the circle of life. Think of it kind of like trimming the dead ends when you get a haircut, or filing your nails and shedding that keratin. So if the leaves are dropping just at the bottom, just pluck them off If the leaves are dropping and turning brown or yellow, kind of ascending up the plant, it might be time to pull the plant out, check out the roots, clean them up, and possibly repot it into a bigger pot or into a soil with better aeration. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you found it helpful at all, please give it a like, comment, share, subscribe. It really does help me to grow my channel. And if you're interested, I would love for you to check out my website, lauraloon.com. I'm offering holiday propagation boxes, and soon to come in the future there will be mushroom tinctures, dried herbals, more indoor houseplants, propagations, as well as those grown from seeds hydroponically, which will also be on my channel. Please also feel free to check out my other YouTube videos. I would love to interact with you, so don't be shy. That's a plant. That's a plant. That's not a plant. Excuse me. Excuse me. Beanie, we're doing an intro. We're doing an intro. I thought we were gonna do the